What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's Analysis. We're going to be looking at MicroStrategy today, going over some technical analysis using indicators, and going over some Bitcoin charts. So we've been in our normal pattern, running up, looking good inside of this channel, getting our bounces respecting the top and bottom part of this trend line. Had our blow off top, and we've been bleeding out ever since. And let's see if we finally found a bottom. Hopefully this is the bottom, and we don't go any lower than this, but we do have this horizontal level of support and resistance still. And right now, the big thing that we're looking at, the major level, is this bottom part of this trend line and bottom of the channel, this gray line here. So that's the biggest concern right now. And then our other concern is this downward sloping trend line here, this one. So we've been respecting it, playing off of it, touching it multiple times. This is the third, fourth touch after the breakout. So we'll see what happens, of course. We're like right here on the brink of breaking through to the downside, which isn't a good sign. We don't want to lose the long-term trend line. We've had this thing established for a while now. It was a very close one. I mean, the trend line was at 263 and we closed at 268. And we're currently at 272 in open, or pre-market, sorry. Yesterday we did open underneath it and right on this downward sloping trend line. But then we ended up getting a move back up. We got a strong move to the upside, and then bears took right back over and pushed this thing right back down. That's why you see a wick. A wick, all a wick is where price used to be. So you opened here. This is where price initially opened. It pushed in this direction, and it pushed all the way in this direction and pushed back. So pushed up, pushed all the way down, pushed back up, and then it went from this start of the open to closing right here. So it really did a bunch of nothing. It was just a volatile day, and it really didn't do much. It was from the open, it was up 2.8%, 2.9%. But overall, it was still a bearish day because the close of the last day was up here. This is the close here. So from the close to yesterday's open, the close of, the close on Friday to yesterday's close was 8.5%. We could be coming close to a decision. I mean, we could still chop after it, but we could definitely get a significant move here because we're at critical levels with this downward sloping trend line and this upward sloping trend line. So we're kind of at a crossroads right here of what's going to happen. We're going to fall back into this zone and then fall underneath this level. So maybe we get something where if we get a close today underneath this level, we push down, we chop a little bit, fall underneath, retest, and continue on down. That's one way. The scenario that MSTR investors that are long want to see is something where we continue closing here or above, and we chop, finally break back out of here, retest, and now we're fighting with this upward sloping trend line that we were fighting with up here. And maybe we chop until we can finally break out, retest, and move on up. That's what we want to see. Or we want to see an absolute massive green candle, retest, and move on out. Which MSTR, of course, can do. As we all know, things is super volatile, so this thing can take off at any moment. But, you know, Bitcoin's been, honestly, it's been holding up pretty well compared to S&P 500. Usually on a drop like what we've seen on the S&P 500, Bitcoin would drop dramatically, 15, 20%. But it did pretty well. So we'll go over that in a little bit. On the SMAs, we got to bounce off the 200-day. Beautiful. We would definitely want to hold that. If we lose that, then that could be a little concerning. And we rejected off the 20 SMA on the same day. So within the same day, we touched the 20 SMA and the 200-day SMA. That's a very volatile day, especially how far they're gapped apart. On the weekly, we're kind of somewhere in between. Not much going on to see because we're underneath the 20. still above the 50, which is good. We want to hold that 50, but we definitely need to take over this 20 so we can run up a little bit higher quickly. On the daily Bollinger Bands, we're stuck in between. We did bounce off this green band and we got a nice little push off. So hopefully we don't even go back to touch that and we just continue our move up. Maybe we get a nice little wick fill. Maybe today we open, we're at 273, maybe we open here, push back down, get a retest off of this trend line or this trend line here. So this, hopefully this will be a wick and then hopefully a nice body of the candle. But I'm more than likely going to be wrong, so it's probably going to be something completely different. But what would be nice would be a wick here, nice little wick, showing a bullish push, and then the body of the candle filling this entire wick here. That would be nice to see. That would be very bullish. But we did get our bounce off the blue band and the green band within the same day because of the volatility. And on the weekly, we're just stuck in between both. We haven't really touched them, but we're nearing the green band, so we'll see what happens. We just have to break above this horizontal level of support if we want to make it to that blue band. And that blue band is going to be pretty strong because it's the blue band along with this secondary trend line that we have coming downward. So this is a key level that we'll have to break on the way to the upside, but we have to get through here first. So can't really worry about that yet. On the RSI, just been losing strength day after day, creating a downward sloping trend line that we've been established and respecting, and we got to bounce off the moving average along with this downward sloping trend line. So price is trying to push down towards oversold territory, but maybe it won't even make it. Maybe this is where we stop at. So we do have a little bit of a little support level when you look at the other times that we've come to this level. Kind of bounced prior, so we've had bounces off of this level. It's kind of been a support and resistance level, so let's see if this acts as support or if we break through it and now it's resistancing, continue on down and continue losing strength on the daily RSI. On the weekly, practically the same thing, so there's not much to say here. We're underneath this moving average, we just have to break above it. On the MACD, we are starting to create momentum to the downside, but this thing can flip pretty quickly. It's still in that phase where this blue can turn back and start touching the orange and break out, or this can really start to gap down and you see that blue run straight down and the orange following with an increase in the red candles. Hopefully we don't see that. Hopefully we see something like this where it was 2 or 3 candles of red and then it starts turning back white, and then we can get these green candles pushing up to show the bullish momentum to the upside. On the weekly, we're kind of in the same boat that we have been for a while now, extremely bearish, but the momentum is dwindling down. We see the red candles slowly decreasing, so we want to see that go back to white, smaller, and then turn green, so we can get some bullish momentum to the upside, because we need volume on MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy thrives off of volume. That's how this thing gets those crazy moves where the MNAV's running up to 3.5. That's what we need. If we don't have volume, MicroStrategy is nothing. We need volume behind this thing. An update on the Fibonacci retracement zone. So on the smaller scale, off of this leg alone, we were holding this golden zone, and then we look like we retested and we're pushing down off of it. So we definitely want this week to close within this golden zone. On the daily, it's essentially the same thing. We already closed outside, but we want to see it on the weekly where we get a close back within the 618 so we can push up, because this is a nice continuation of the uptrend. If we can hold this, it'll be a nice level of support to continue that move to the upside. Now, when we pull it to a larger scale, so when we include both of these legs, we are just in between the golden zone and nothing's really happened yet. So in this case, on the larger scale, we just want to hold this level, which we have held 3 times here, strong wicks off of it. So let's see how it goes. And actually, there's actually a little coincidence here where if you look, it almost, I made it line up, but this dotted line that it has, because the fib has a trend line along with it, it kind of lines up almost perfectly with the bottom of this channel. So let's see if this trend line means anything, this dotted one along with our trend line. Maybe it's just a coincidence, it probably is, but let's see how it plays out, of course, and let's see if this thing will start to rally up. Taking a look here at the Bitcoin chart, we have officially swept the previous highs in March 2024, which we have done in prior cycles before running up. So I think we've seen it, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 2020 before the run up. We saw this, we kind of saw something like that here, where we had these levels here, and before we took off in 2021, we swept those levels where we had a previous high, and as we broke through, we thought we were taking off. We came, swept it. It was a 21% drop, and then it just took off from there. So kind of reminds me of the same of that in some kind of way, where it was the high previously. We thought we were breaking out. We came back, swept it, and then hopefully we run from there. And that one was a 21% drop, and this one is a 31% drop, which happens time after time. This is nothing new. In bull markets, Bitcoin will drop 20%, 30%, 35%. So I do think touching these highs kind of makes sense before taking off, because it has happened prior. Overall though, I don't think anything has changed yet. It's just negative sentiment, and I think it's held up pretty well against the S&P 500, surprisingly. This was a pretty nice thing to see, where we got that strong move to the downside, and then the bulls pushed that thing back up almost instantly. We weren't at 74,000 for too long. That was in the snap of the finger. We went from 74,000 to 81,000, and now we're kind of in this region here. So we want to get back above this horizontal level of support and resistance that we've had drawn out for some time now, and we want to essentially chop until we can finally break out of this thing. We want to break out, retest, and then start looking at horizontal levels of support as we break our way up. If we were to break up, we'd be looking at 88 to about 87.5. If we break that, 92 to about 91, and so on. And to the downside, we did say that if we were to fall below this level, we get a break and a close, which we did, retest, which we did, and push down to this next level, which we just did. So things did play out as we anticipated if we broke to the downside, and we did break to the downside, and it played out exactly how we said. So now we're kind of stuck in limbo. We're not too sure what's going to happen next, but we could get another move to the downside, and that could be a continuation of the move further down, and it could play out just like this, where we get another close, retest, and further down. Hopefully not. And like I said, we could get this move where we close, start chopping until we finally break out. Now on Bitcoin, we have global liquidity, where we thought, we weren't really sure. I said it in the other video where I talked about this, where I was like, I don't know if this is the bottom, but we're gonna act like if it was the bottom. And that was, this bottom was, let me go on the days actually. I think it lined up 75 days, if I'm not mistaken. So this was the bottom prior. So from here to here, 69 days. So it was 69 days, but that clearly wasn't the bottom, because we just got a fresh low right here. So right now we're currently on day 97. But we'll say that this is the bottom for now. We could continue down lower, and then we have to change this. But at this point, we're at a 96-day lag between global liquidity's bottom before it took off and Bitcoin's hypothetical bottom, because we don't know if this is the bottom yet. This thing can go down today and create a fresh low. But we're going to act like this is the bottom from here on out, and we run. and it would be a 96-day lag right now if we continued to move up and then get this move. So since we got this move right here, that lower low, that goes to show that we haven't even started any of this. Because what I was saying is, if this was the low here, then this right here was this area that we were already, you know, maybe somewhere in between this and this bottom. We were somewhere in the middle already, but we haven't even started the move yet, which is exciting to see. We're still literally, if this is the bottom and this correlates with this in terms of global liquidity, then we're still here. We haven't even started the first leg up, and you can see this thing it's been running for some time now. So that's exciting, and it's a positive sign for sure. So things could be looking good relatively soon. I'm still extremely bullish on Bitcoin, which means I'm extremely bullish on MicroStrategy. So I think both of them can run up at insane paces. On MSTR divided by Bitcoin, we did break out, and we were establishing a nice little uptrend, and then we broke underneath it and retested. Broke underneath, retested, and then pushed down. So let's see if we get a retest of this trend line again to move up higher, or if we just wrap it around and rip to the upside. Well, MicroStrategy's been holding up well against Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's been holding up well against the S&P 500, surprisingly. So I'm going to go back to Bitcoin, and we're going to take a look at this versus the S&P 500, which is very surprising. So when you take a look here, normally they run together in sync for the most part, but then when you look at this, Bitcoin's barely dropped compared to the S&P 500, and now it looks like they're back in sync. So this blue drop was that whole drop here, I guess, if it looks like it's back in sync. So we'll see what the next move is, but that's definitely positive. It's a positive sign. That's all I have for you guys. I'll see you in the next one.